All right, Chapter 7 of Odd Thomas. In Chapter 6, Viola Peabody, who's a waitress there at the Pico Mundo Grill, had just talked to Odd in hopes that he can give her some reassurance about a dream she's had where it appears that she's been shot. Um, so now, Chapter 7. Green Moon Mall stands along Green Moon Road between Old Town Pico Mundo and its modern western neighborhoods. The huge structure with walls the color of sand had been designed to suggest humble adobe construction, as though it were a home built by a family of gigantic Native Americans averaging 40 feet in height. In spite of this curious attempt at environmentally harmonious but deeply illogical architecture, patrons of the mall can still be starbucked, gapped, Donna Karen'd, and crate barreled as easily in Pico Mundo as in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, or Miami. In a corner of the vast parking lot, remote from the mall, stands Tire World. Here, the architecture is more playful. The single-story building supports a tower crowned by a giant globe. This model of Earth, rotating lazily, seems to represent a world of peace and innocence lost when the snake entered Eden. Like Saturn, this planet sports a ring, not of ice crystals and rocks and dust, but of rubber. Encircling the globe is a tire that both rotates and oscillates. 5 service bays ensure that customers will not wait long to have new tires installed. The technicians wear crisp uniforms. They are polite. They smile easily. They seem happy. Car batteries can be purchased here as well, and oil changes are offered. Tires, however, remain the soul of the operation. The showroom is saturated with the enchanting scent of rubber waiting for the road. That Tuesday afternoon, I wandered the aisles for 10 or 15 minutes undisturbed. Some employees said hello to me, but none tried to sell me anything. I visit from time to time, and they know that I'm interested in the tire life. The owner of Tire World is Mr. Joseph Mangione. He's the father of Anthony Mangione, who was a friend of mine in high school. Anthony attends UCLA. He hopes to have a career in medicine. Mr. Mangione is proud that his boy will be a doctor, but he is disappointed as well that Anthony has no interest in the family business. He would welcome me to the payroll and would no doubt treat me as a surrogate son. Here, tires are available for cars, SUVs, trucks, and motorcycles. The sizes and degrees of quality are many, but once the inventory is memorized, no stress would be associated with any job at Tire World. That Tuesday, I had no intention of resigning my spatula at the Pico Mundo Grill anytime soon, although short-order cooking can be stressful when the tables are full, tickets are backed up on the order rail, and your head is buzzing with diner lingo. On those days, that also feature an unusual number of encounters with the dead, in addition to a bustling breakfast and lunch trade, my stomach sours and I know that I am courting not merely burnout, but early onset gastrointestinal reflux disease. At times like that, the tire life seems to be a refuge, almost as serene as a monastery. However, even Mr. Mangione's rubber-scented corner of paradise was haunted. One ghost stubbornly inhabited the showroom. Tom Jedd, a well-regarded local stonemason, had died 8 months previous. His car careened off Panorama Road after midnight, broke through rotted guardrails, tumbled down a rocky 100-foot embankment, and sank in Malo Suerte Lake. 3 fishermen had been in a boat 60 yards offshore when Tom went swimming in his PT Cruiser. They called the cops on a cell phone, but emergency rescue services arrived too late to save him. Tom's left arm had been severed in the crash. The county coroner declared himself undecided as to whether Tom had bled to death or drowned first. Since then, the poor guy had been moping around Tire World. I didn't know why. His accident had not been caused by a defective tire. He'd been drinking in a roadhouse called Country Cousin. The autopsy cited a blood alcohol level of 0.18, well over the legal limit. He either lost control of the vehicle due to inebriation or he fell asleep at the wheel. Each time I visited the showroom to stroll the aisles and mull a career change, Tom realized that I saw him, and he acknowledged me with a look or a nod. Once he even winked at me, conspiratorially. He had not, however, made any attempt to communicate either his purpose or his needs. He was a reticent ghost. Some days I wish more of them were like him. He had died in a parrot-patterned Hawaiian shirt, khaki shorts, and white sneakers worn without socks. He also always appeared in those clothes when he roamed Tire World. Sometimes he was dry, but at other times he appeared to be soaked as if he'd just walked out of Malo Suerte Lake. Usually he had both arms, but occasionally his left arm was missing. You can tell a lot about a dead person's state of mind by the condition in which he manifests. When dry, Tom Jed seemed to be resigned to his fate, if not fully at peace with it. When wet, he looked angry or distressed or sullen. On this occasion, he was dry. His hair had been combed. He appeared to be relaxed. Tom had both arms this time, but the left wasn't attached to his shoulder. He carried his left arm in his right hand, casually, as though it were a golf club, gripping it by the biceps. This grotesque behavior did not include gore. Fortunately, I had never seen him bloody, perhaps because he was squeamish or because he remained in denial that he had bled to death. Twice, when he knew that I was looking, he used his severed arm as a back scratcher. He clawed between his shoulder blades with the stiff fingers of that detached thumb. As a rule, ghosts are serious about their condition and solemn in their demeanor. They belong on the other side, but are stuck here for whatever reasons, and they are impatient to move on. Once in a while, however, I encounter a spirit with his sense of humor intact. For my amusement, Tom even conspired to pick his nose with the forefinger of his severed arm. I prefer ghosts to be somber. There's something about a walking dead man trying to get a laugh that chills me. Perhaps because it suggests that even post-mortem, we have a pathetic need to be liked, as well as the sad capacity to humiliate ourselves. If Tom Jed had been in less of a jokey mood, I might have lingered longer at Tire World. His shtick disturbed me, as did his twinkly-eyed smile. As I walked to Terry's Mustang, Tom stood at a showroom window, vigorously and clownishly waving goodbye with his severed arm. I drove across sun-scorched acres of parking lot and found a space for the Mustang near the main entrance to the mall, where workmen were hanging a banner announcing the big annual summer sale that would run Wednesday through Sunday. Inside this cavernous retail mecca, most of the stores appeared to be only moderately busy, but the Burke Bailey's ice cream parlor drew a crowd. Stormy Llewellyn has worked at Burke Bailey's since she was 16. At 20, she's the manager. Her plan is to own a shop of her own by the time she's 24. If she had gone into astronaut training after high school, she would have a lemonade stand on the moon by now. According to her, she's not ambitious, just easily bored and in need of stimulation. I have frequently offered to stimulate her. She says she's talking about mental stimulation. I tell her that, in case she hasn't noticed, I do have a brain. She says there's definitely no brain in my one-eyed snake, and that what might be in my big head is still open to debate. Why do you think I sometimes call you Pooh, she once asked. Because I'm cuddly? Because Pooh's head is full of stuffin'. Our life together isn't always a new wave Abbott and Costello routine. Sometimes she's Rocky and I'm Bullwinkle. I went to the counter in Burke Bailey's and said, I need something hot and sweet. We specialize in cold, Stormy said. Go sit out there in the promenade and be good. I'll bring you something. Although busy, the parlor offered a few empty tables. However, Stormy prefers not to chat on the premises. She is an object of fascination for some of the other employees, and she doesn't want to give them fuel for gossip. I understand precisely how they feel about her. She's an object of fascination for me, too. Therefore, I stepped out of the Burke Bailey's into the public promenade and sat with a fish. Retail sales and theater have joined forces in America. Movies are full of product placements, and malls are designed with drama in mind. At one end of the Green Moon Mall, a 40-foot waterfall tumbled down a cliff of man-made rocks. From the falls, a stream coursed the length of the building over a series of diminishing rapids. At the end of the compulsive shopping spree, if you realized that you had bankrupted yourself in Nordstrom, you could fling yourself down into this water feature and drown. Outside Burke Bailey's, the stream ended in a tropical pond surrounded by palm trees and lush ferns. Great care had been taken to make this vignette look real. Faint recorded bird calls echoed hauntingly through the greenery. Except for the lack of enormous insects suffocating humanity, malaria victims groaning in death throes, poisonous vipers as thick as mosquitoes, and rabid jungle cats madly devouring their own feet, you would have sworn you were in the Amazon rainforest. In the pond swam brightly covered koi. Many were large enough to serve as a hearty dinner. According to the mall publicity, some of these exotic fish were valued as high as $4,000 each. Tasty or not, they weren't within everyone's grocery budget. I sat on a bench with my back to the koi, unimpressed by their flashy fins and precious scales. In 5 minutes, Stormy came out of Burke Bailey's with 2 cones of ice cream. I enjoyed watching her walk toward me. Her uniform included pink shoes, white socks, a hot pink skirt, and a matching pink and white blouse, and a perky pink cap. With her Mediterranean complexion, jet black hair, and mysterious dark eyes, she looked like a sultry espionage agent who had gone undercover as a hospital candy striper. Sensing my thoughts as usual, she sat beside me on the bench and said, "When I have my own shop, the employees won't have to wear stupid uniforms. I think you look like it. I think you look adorable." "I look like a goth gidget." Stormy gave one of the cones to me, and for a minute or two we sat in silence, watching shoppers stroll past, enjoying our ice cream. "Under the hamburger and bacon grease," she said, "I can still smell the peach shampoo. I'm an olfactory delight. Maybe one day when I have my own shop we can work together and smell the same. The ice cream business doesn't move me. I love to fry." "I guess it's true," she said. "What?" "That opposites attract." "Is this the new flavor that came in last week?" I asked. "Yeah." "Cherry chocolate coconut chunk?" "Coconut cherry chocolate chunk," she corrected. "You've got to get the proper adjective in front of the chunk or you're screwed." I didn't realize the grammar of the ice cream industry was so rigid. Describe it your way, and some weasel customers will eat the whole thing and then ask for their money back because there weren't chunks of coconut in it. And don't ever call me adorable again. Puppies are adorable. As you were coming toward me, I thought you looked sultry. The smart thing for you would be to stay away from adjectives altogether. "Good ice cream," I said. "Is this the first taste you've had?" "Everyone's been raving about it, but I didn't want to rush the experience." "Delayed gratification." "Yeah, it makes everything sweeter. Wait too long, and what was sweet and creamy can turn sour." "Move over, Socrates. Odd Thomas takes the podium." I know when the thin ice under me has begun to crack. I changed the subject. "Sitting with my back to all these koi creeps me out." "You think they're up to something?" she asked. "They're too flashy for fish. I don't trust them." She glanced over her shoulder at the pond, then turned her attention once more to the ice cream. "They're just fornicating." "How can you tell?" "The only thing fish ever do is eat, excrete, and fornicate. The good life. They excrete in the same water where they eat, and they eat in the semen-clotted water where they fornicate. Fish are disgusting." "Well, I never thought so until now," I said. "How'd you get here?" "Terry's Mustang." "You been missing me?" "Always, but I'm looking for someone." I told her about Fungus Man. This is where my instinct brought me. When someone isn't where I expect to find him, neither at home nor at work, then sometimes I cruise around on my bicycle or in a borrowed car, turning randomly from street to street. Usually in less than half an hour, I cross paths with the one I seek. I need a face or a name for focus, but then I'm better than a bloodhound. This is a talent for which I have no name. Stormy calls it psychic magnetism. "And here he comes now," I said, referring to Fungus Man, who ambled along the promenade, following the descending rapids toward the tropical koi pond. Stormy didn't have to ask me to point the guy out to her. Among the other shoppers, he was as obvious as a duck in a dog parade. Although I had nearly finished the ice cream without being chilled, I shivered at the sight of this strange man. He trod the travertine promenade, but my teeth chattered as if he had just walked across my grave. Well, that's chapter 8. Excuse me, that was chapter 7. This Fungus Man, it's things are not looking good. I'm not sure what he's up to, but I'm looking forward to finding out. Anyway, I'll see you next time for chapter 8.